Continuing with our list of set 5 characters that I think could take down an RLE, we have Overhaul today. Overhaul is a 6 hand size 27 health character, and he's on Earth, Evil, and Life. We get first enhance once per turn, build 1 card from our hand face down. This is very strong early in the game so that our rival doesn't outpace us and we can control the flow of the game. We get a response, flip 1 foundation after the block step of your attack. It gets +2 damage. If it deals damage, gain 1 health. So we don't have to pay the cost of flipping the foundation until we know if our attack is going to be dealing damage or not. And then lastly, we get an once per turn enhance. You may play a face down card from your stage face up as your next card, ignoring progressive difficulty. If it's your rival's turn, discard 1 card. So this gets more and more powerful as the game goes on, as we get more tools built in our stage that are face down for us to use. I chose Life. I feel like Earth gets stuck in this quagmire of face down foundations. I feel like Evil doesn't quite have the draw support that Overhaul demands, and Life just strikes this perfect balance. Our strategy is we want to continually have the advantage over our rival. We want to set the terms of the game, and we want our rival to constantly feel a step behind. We want to jump ahead early by building from our hand. We want to keep this steady cycle of building, flipping, and destroying. We don't want to get to this point to where more than 50% of our stage is face down. And we want to steadily deal damage and heal. Overhaul's not pumping speed, so the way we can do this is we can use throw attacks, we can use low attacks, and then we can use stun attacks and things of that nature. And we want to control our rival stage and disrupt their game plan. A lot of the time we're looking to drag this game out to at least 4 or 5 turns, and so we need to disrupt their early turns, and we need to turn off their strongest foundations. And then we want to play spicy situational cards at a 1x or 2x, because Overhaul gives you this ability to build down cards for a later turn and then use them only when you need them. So we can really change up our strategy depending on the matchup. So here's the list. It's 60 cards. We have 20 attacks, 10 4-diff, 10 5-diff. We're not running any 5-diff attack at a greater than 2x because we're really changing the way we play depending on our matchup. One item to know is that we got 4x here on passing the torch, 4x on release, and 4x on self-sack, and 4x on carbo loading, because I feel those are the strongest foundations and the ones that we want to see every time. As well as here on our attacks, we are 4xing overhead reversal and tongue whip. You can't see, but Battle for the Future is only a 1 of. All right, key number 1 to winning this game is Overhauls. We want to jump ahead early, so we're going to put his first enhance to use. And the cards that we want to build down for attacks are Monstrous Fusion and Maximum Overhaul. They both have great enhances that are locked into if you have played a card from your hand this combat phase, and then for Monstrous Fusion, if this attack was played from anywhere other than your hand against powerful 5. So we want to build these down early because these are kind of late game finishing moves, or Maximum Overhaul might be our setup to our finishing move. And then we get cards like Faith Shield that will be really, really strong later, but we can keep it face down, and then we can block with it, and it's going to ignore progressive, which really helps when you have a 3 block modifier. We can do some shenanigans with this first enhance with like passing the torch. Like if we have 1 card in hand, we can build it face down, and then we can commit passing the torch and draw 2. And we get Blood Eval for more card draw. The other way that we can jump ahead early is through our attacks building foundations. So we have Overhead Reversal, building a 0 diff committed. We have Back Alley Haymaker, building it ready. Then we have Capture Net, building something from our hand, but building it that same turn. Very powerful if you have a 3-diff or 2-diff foundation that you want to get on the stage early. And then Precious Lesson, building from your deck, which is really important because it gives you a way to build face-down attacks other than just from your hand. And then we want to maintain this steady cycle of building, flipping, and destroying, and never having more than half of our stage be face down foundations. And Life gives you all sorts of ways to do this. So we're getting Release to destroy for speed hate. We're getting Self-Sacrifice to destroy for damage, either reduction or improvement. And then we get Nezure-Chan. I really like Nezure-Chan because we can even use it on defense to gain a health and ready carbo loading. And then we get Maximum Overhaul, who doesn't destroy a foundation, but he unflips a foundation, and then he's going to bring a few face-down foundations into your hand so you can bring attacks into your hand. And then we get key number 3, steadily deal damage and heal. We get the throw attacks, which are +2 damage from Overhaul, and then they can also get +3 damage from carbo loading and re-ready carbo loading. So this 0 gravity lift, instead of being a 6 damage throw, a lot of the times this is actually an 11 damage throw. And then we get low attacks, and tongue whip is really essential in Overhaul. I want to see this every single turn because it's giving all of your future attacks +1 speed. And then we have Hardened Claw Crusher and Back Alley Haymaker, which are great stun attacks, and they're good openers. And then we want to control and disrupt our opponent's game plan. So Hardened Claw Crusher, we can force our rival to add their most powerful foundation to the top of their deck, and then we can build in one of their weaker foundations. And then we can remove a foundation and build the top card of our discard pile face down. It gives us another way to build from our deck, and it basically makes this an attack, another 4-def attack. And then we get Lost in Thought, where we can also remove one of their best foundation, where we can send it back to their hand, but we can also take a face down committed into our hand, preferably an attack or something of that nature, and then build something else down. And then we get this really neat foundation, taking the gloves off, flip 1 committed rival foundation, and then it's our only deadlock threat in the game as well, where we can destroy a rival foundation. So this is very nice on like offense when they commit down their best offensive piece because they don't need it for defense. Then we can flip and get rid of it for their next turn. And then Faith Shield is the ultimate disruption card, stopping their combos, stopping Echo, and things like that. Then we have spicy situational cards that Overhaul gets to play to 1x, things like Airy, Future is Now, Battle for the Future is a nice momentum out since we're playing a lot of throws, Evade and Copy for All Might Forward, Mirio, and characters like that, and then Monstrous Fusion to end the game. Monstrous Fusion has been enormous in my testing of Overhaul. All it takes is 2 momentum, and this attack is 20 damage and just ends the game, because 2 momentum makes it 16 damage, and then you add an Overhaul, that's 18 damage, and then all the life damage pumps that we get with Self-Sack, Floating, Nezure-chan, Carbo Loading. So this is basically 20 damage with only 2 momentum. You can easily get it to 15 damage with 1 momentum. And you can use it even early in the game. If your opponent taps out, they think they're safe, they're at like 17 health, and then you can just play this and quickly end the game early. Deck statistics, we've got optimal deck stability, an even block zone spread, and that is it for Overhaul. One thing to note about my list is I did not know that Maximum Overhaul was going to be delayed legality until this morning, so I didn't have time to test lists that didn't include it, but it will be legal September 1st, and that'll be before the New York RLE and before the Las Vegas RLE. So we'll still get a couple chances to use this during this season. But Overhaul's really, really open-ended, so there's a lot of different ways that you could approach them. There's a lot of really cool Earth and Evil builds that I chose not to use. And then even on Life, we could be playing a punch package maybe with Setup Strike to pump speed, repeated 100% smash to ready foundations, maybe rejuvenating to draw more cards and to gain health to ready carbo loading. We could be playing cards like Home Run Comet for another dunk attack. There's a lot of different ways that we could go about this. And the only foundation that I didn't mention in my analysis was High Value Target, which is just great defense. And what I love about it is that it's reactive defense instead of proactive defense. And then the other 2 0-diff foundations, Tight-Lipped and Floating Around with My Babies. Just nice damage pump if we need them. And then if we don't need them, we can always just flip them with Overhaul's response. So that is it for Overhaul. Let me know what you think of the deck. How would you make changes? And feel free to copy it and put it to your own testing. I've had an absolute blast testing with this character. I honestly think after I get my hands on a couple Maximum Overhauls, I'm participating in a store championship this weekend, so I'm hoping to grab my 2 copies, and then I will be playing a ton of Overhaul. All right, see me next time in a couple days, and I will be presenting a Midoriya list that I think could take down an RLE.